Right now, tonight, there could be a device on your car the size of a matchbox that tells a complete stranger everywhere you go, when you leave, when you get home, the bar, the doctor, the lawyer, the new address you didn't tell anybody about. You didn't put it there. You'll never get a notification, and unless you know the handful of places they hide it, you could drive around with it for years and never have the faintest idea. I've spent 40 years under these cars, and I'm going to show you every spot they tuck one of these, how to tell if yours has one on it right now, and exactly what to do when you find it. Because here's the thing that ought to bother you. These things have gotten so cheap and so small that just about anybody can put one on your car in about 10 seconds. So let's go find it. First, let me be clear about what we're hunting, because this is different from what I've talked about before. Your car already has a tracker built in at the factory, the telematics box, the one the manufacturer uses. That's a whole other conversation. What we're after today is the other kind, an aftermarket tracker that a real live person went and physically stuck on your vehicle, aimed at you personally. And once you hear who puts these on and why, you'll understand why this one's worth 15 minutes with a flashlight. So who does this? More people than you'd ever want to think about. A jealous spouse or an ex who can't let go. This is the big one, and it's uglier than folks realize. A private investigator somebody hired to sit on you. A suspicious business partner. On a financed car, the lender, especially the buy here, pay here lots, will bolt a GPS and a starter interrupt box in so they can find the car and shut it down if you fall behind. And then there's the dealership that slipped a theft recovery tracker into your paperwork and charged you $600 for the privilege, whether you asked for it or not. Different people, same little box, all of them knowing where you are and you not knowing a thing about it. And I want you to understand just how easy this has gotten, because that's the part that ought to scare you more than the spy movie version. A real-time GPS tracker off the internet runs $20, $30 now. The person watching pays a few bucks a month for the service, opens an app on their own phone, and there you are. A little dot moving across a map, live, updating every few seconds while you're on the road, with a history of every place that dot has been for the last month. No van parked across the street, no trench coat. Somebody who wants to know where you are just has to get to your car for 10 seconds, one time. That's the whole job. The tracking is the easy part now. The hard part, the part they're counting on, is that you'll never think to look. And on the financed car side, this isn't rare at all. It's the business model. On a lot of subprime and buy here, pay here loans, that GPS comes bundled with a starter interrupt device. A box wired to your ignition that lets the lender kill your ability to start the car from an office across town if you're a few days late. Millions of these are out on the road. Most folks driving around with one have no clear idea it's in there or what it can do until the day the car won't start in a parking lot. Now here's the good news. A hidden tracker almost always leaves a trail if you know the signs, and the biggest one is your battery. There's a fellow who went viral over exactly this. His car sat about 3 weeks and the battery was flat dead, and it drove him nuts because there was nothing in that car that should have killed it. Turned out a GPS tracker had been piggybacked right into his diagnostic port, sipping a little power around the clock, day and night, the whole time the car just sat there. And here's the kicker. That one turned out to be dealer installed. He never asked for it. Now, one of these units only pulls a small trickle of current, so on a car you drive every day, you might never notice. But let it sit a week or two or run a smaller battery, and that steady little draw is enough to leave you dead in the driveway. So if your battery keeps going flat and no mechanic can explain the drain, don't shrug it off. Something is pulling power around the clock, and it might not be anything the factory put there. Now, how do you tell one of these apart from the factory equipment so you're not tearing your dash apart over a part that's supposed to be there? A couple of tells. Factory wiring is clean, molded connectors, the same color and style of tape and clips all through the car, everything tucked and routed on purpose. An aftermarket tracker looks like what it is, an add-on. loose electrical tape, a hardware store zip tie, a little box that doesn't match anything around it, wires spliced in with those cheap crimp connectors instead of a proper plug. The viral fella said it plain when he found his. It obviously wasn't factory because the factory would never jury-rig a jumper into the port the way somebody had. When it looks handmade, that's because it was. Somebody's hands did that, and it wasn't Toyota's. All right, let's actually hunt. Grab a flashlight, and I'll walk you spot by spot, easiest first. Spot number 1, and the most common by a mile, the diagnostic port. It's called the OBD2 port, and on nearly every car it's tucked up under the dash on the driver's side, just above your knees, sometimes behind a little flip-down panel. Reach up under there and feel for it. It's a trapezoid-shaped socket about 1.5 inches wide. Now here's the tell. A plug-in tracker piggybacks right into that port because it's the fastest hide there is. Somebody pops your door, plugs it in, and they're gone in 10 seconds, and it draws all the power it needs right from that port. In that viral case, the tracker was daisy-chained right off the port, tucked in behind it. So reach up there and feel around. Is it just the one factory socket, or is there an extra little box, or a second connector piggybacked in behind the original one? A lot of these are pass-through units. They leave you a working port up front while the tracker hides behind it. If there's something plugged in you don't recognize, or a module wired in behind the socket, that's your answer. Trace the wire and see where it goes. Spot number 2, up behind the dash and the kick panels. The more serious devices, the ones a professional installs, get hardwired. They splice into a power wire up behind the dash or behind the plastic kick panel down by your left foot, so there's no dongle hanging out for you to notice. You're looking for a small box, usually black, often with a little wire antenna, taped or zip-tied to the harness up in there where nobody ever looks. If you see a bundle that looks a little too fresh, newer tape, a zip tie that doesn't match the factory ones, follow it. Spot number 3, under the seats and in the center console. Quick, lazy hides. Somebody with 30 seconds of access will shove a little battery-powered unit under a seat, up under the carpet, or down in the console. Run your hand under both front seats and feel around the tracks. Spot number 4, the trunk and the cargo area. Lift the carpet in the trunk. Pull up the spare tire cover and look down in the well around the spare. It's dark, it's out of the way, and nobody checks it, which is exactly why they use it. Spot number 5, and this is the one that gets missed, the outside of the car. The slap-on trackers don't need any wires at all. They're a sealed box with a magnet and their own battery, and somebody just reaches under your vehicle and sticks it to any piece of bare metal. So get down with your flashlight or run your hand along the underside, inside the wheel wells behind the tires, up under the bumpers front and rear, along the frame rails, up under the plastic. A magnet mount tracker will be a smooth black or gray box, maybe the size of a deck of cards, sitting somewhere it clearly doesn't belong. A cheap telescoping inspection mirror, the kind any parts store sells, makes this a lot easier on your back. Now, beyond eyeballing it, there are a couple of tools that help. A cheap handheld RF detector, the kind people use to sweep a hotel room for bugs, will pick up a tracker when it's actively transmitting. Fair warning, it won't scream non-stop because these things phone out in short bursts to save battery. So you sweep slow and you watch for it to spike. It also can't tell a tracker from your own phone, so set your phone aside when you sweep. It's not perfect, but run it around the cabin and along the underside, and it'll flag a live one. Do it slow, do it with your own phone left in the house, and do it more than once, because you're trying to catch the thing mid-burst. There are also phone apps that scan for Bluetooth devices nearby. Some of the cheaper trackers and the little tile-style tags chirp out over Bluetooth, and an app like that will list anything riding along with you that shouldn't be. And if you ever have a shop up on a lift for other work, ask them to keep an eye out underneath. A good tech has seen 100 of these and knows exactly what a slap-on box looks like against a frame rail. Now, the most important part, and I want you to slow down here because what you do when you find one depends entirely on who put it there, and getting this wrong can hurt you. If it's plugged into your diagnostic port and it's your car, free and clear, you can simply unplug it and pull it out, the way that fella did. If it's hardwired and you're not comfortable in there, any independent shop will pull it in a few minutes. But hold on before you yank anything. If you have any reason to believe a dangerous person, an abusive ex, a stalker, put that device on your car, do not just rip it off and go on with your day. The moment it stops moving or goes dark, that person knows you found it, and for some folks, that is the most dangerous moment of all. If that's your situation, leave it be for a minute and get advice first. A domestic violence hotline or the police who can document it as evidence. And if you are ever in immediate danger, that is a 911 call, not a job for a flashlight and a wrench. Take photos of exactly where it sits and how it's wired before anybody moves it. That tracker is proof of who's been where and when, and proof is worth more than the few seconds it takes to tear it off. Rip it off in a hurry, and all you've done is warn them and throw away the one piece of evidence that a court would actually take seriously. Slow is smart here. And there's a second catch. If you're still making payments on the car, especially from a buy here, pay here lot, that tracker may be the lender's, spelled out in the fine print of your loan, and it may legally be their equipment on their collateral. Pulling it can put you in breach of your contract, so read your paperwork before you touch it. Same with a dealer theft recovery unit you agreed to. That one's yours to remove, but know what you signed. The point of all this isn't to make you paranoid, it's the opposite. It's to hand you back a little control, because the technology got so cheap and so small that anyone can do this to anyone now, and almost nobody knows to look. Well, now you do. You know the 5 places they hide it, you know the battery clue that gives it away, and you know how to handle it depending on who's behind it. I'm Hank. About 40 years turning wrenches, the last stretch of it on a dealer floor, and no dealer, no manufacturer, no sponsor pays me to tell you any of this. So go take 15 minutes this weekend and check your own car. And when you do, tell me down in the comments what you found, and name the year and model you drive, because some of these vehicles are a lot easier to get at than others, and the next person reading is going to want to know. Watch out for each other.